Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. May I request His Grace Pancaratna Prabhu and Atika Guna Mataji, both are Prabhupada disciples, and taking care of the, Pancaratna Prabhu is taking care of the whole festival that is upcoming, our 50-year celebration of ISKCON. And he has taken a lot of responsibilities from the time of Srila Prabhupada for our society. Both of them will bless us with their love that they have in their heart for their Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. বাংলায় যারা অনুবাদ চান, সুজিতেন্দ্রীয় প্রভু ওখানে অনুবাদ করছেন। যাদের যাদের বাংলায় অনুবাদ চান তারা ওখানে যেতে পারেন প্রভুর কাছে। আমাদের প্রভুপাদ কথা শুরু হয়ে গেছে এবং এটি চলতে থাকবে এবং আরও বিশেষ বিশেষ ভক্তরা আসবেন। আপনারা আনন্দ পাচ্ছেন কি না? তো এখন আসছেন পঞ্চরত্ন প্রভু এবং অতিকা গুণা মাতাজি। হরে কৃষ্ণ।
Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Sunivari Paschachadesharini Om Agyanatamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunimiritam Jina Tasmai Sri Gurave Kam Karoti Vachalam Pangalandayate Giri Tadkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramanandanaram Shri Chaitaniswaram.
15 minutes, huh?
Hare Krishna. This morning we heard from Radhanath Maharaj about Srila Prabhupada's journey, his challenges that he faced, and how he won over so many of the people that he met initially by his kindness and by his love. When I became attracted to Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada was in India. I could say that I met Srila Prabhupada first in his books. And so I didn't have, this was 1970 in Toronto, Canada. So I did not have that experience that the devotees in 1966, 67 received of that extraordinary kindness and compassion. But there was another materialistic society. They wanted something different, something else, anything else. And that may mean, well, okay, some of my god brothers, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, you heard how Srila Prabhupada, that Mukunda Prabhu Maharaj now, at that time, he left New York, he went to California. Srila Prabhupada had just given him just one sentence. It would be nice if you opened a temple in San Francisco. That's all he said. He didn't say, it is my order, you go, you open a temple. No, he said, it would be nice if you opened a temple. And just that pointed word, just those few words, were filled with such power. They entered into Mukunda's heart and it started to take life. And when he met his friends in Oregon, they went down to San Francisco. And they said, okay, well, hey, Swamiji talked about opening, let's try it. What's there to lose? So after some time, Srila Prabhupada came, and the temple was there. And from one of the times, they made a visit to a nearby commune, because this was what we were doing. We were trying something, anything different. We didn't want what was there offered by Madison Avenue and the government of the U.S. We didn't want that. We wanted something else. We were offered drugs. Okay, that really gave us something else, so that was pretty far out. Okay, let's try that. So Srila Prabhupada went to visit a place called Morning Star Commune. And who did he find there? He found a bunch of people that were trying everything else, including clothes. They said, well, okay, clothes were also kind of restricting, so let's give that up to. So all these naked men and women were around, and Srila Prabhupada just started preaching. One of them was Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Another was Vishnu Jan Maharaj. Another was Gaur Hari Prabhu, my godbrother, that you may not have heard of, but he's a very wonderful devotee. He could preach because he was also a revolutionary. Even from his childhood, he was a revolutionary. We know how when he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his proposal was, we must first have our revolution, we must first have our independence, then we can preach Krishna consciousness, then we can do something spiritual. But what did Bhaktisiddhanta say? No, the time is now for a spiritual revolution. We must have first a spiritual revolution. Without a spiritual revolution, there can be no actual revolution. And this message penetrated our hearts. This message dug deep into us, and we became on fire with this spirit, the revolutionary spirit that Srila Prabhupada had. Srila Prabhupada was on fire in his preaching, and we caught the fire. So yes, it was a fire filled with love and kindness and compassion. It was not based on some imperialistic drive to conquer for power, but it was based on pure love and compassion for the suffering of humanity, to rise up, to bring us out, and to point us back in the direction, back home, back to Godhead. So he caught us like this. This was his revolutionary spirit. And we caught that, and we began to adopt the same spirit. It was not completely unlike the ashrams that others were presenting. We heard this morning about Dr. Mishra's ashram a little bit, where the mood was peace and shanti. But what did we get? We got 24-hour activity. We got dancing and chanting and jumping and completely working like crazy. We got anxiety for Krishna. Tita Guna, my good wife here, has a story about that, so I will ask her to relate a little story about anxiety for Krishna. Is it on?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I was fortunate enough to be in Melbourne, Australia in 1976. Can you hear? And Srila Prabhupada, he liked to go to the botanical gardens of any city he went to, he liked to go to the botanical gardens. So you heard Radhanath Maharaj talk about trees. So we were walking along, and then all of a sudden Srila Prabhupada stopped at a tree and took some leaves of the tree and started crushing them. And he asked someone, "Oh, what is this?" And Srila Prabhupada said, the devotee said, "It's a camphor, Prabhupada." And Srila Prabhupada said, "Oh, Srimati Radharani really likes this scent." So I just said that because Srila Prabhupada was very attached to trees all over the world. And then what happened is I was with another Mataji, and she said, actually, we can't hear what Srila Prabhupada's saying properly, so let's go down the front. And the other Matajis had been in the back, and every time Srila Prabhupada stepped on a leaf, they would take that leaf as prasadam of Srila Prabhupada. So somebody said to Srila Prabhupada, "Srila Prabhupada, I thought we were living in Vaikuntha, and Vaikuntha means without anxiety." And Srila Prabhupada said, "Yes. Actually, to be in a human body means that we're in anxiety, but we get to choose what kind of anxiety we're in. We can either be in material anxiety, thinking about ourselves and what we want and our ambitions, or we can be in spiritual anxiety, thinking, how can we please Krishna? What can we do for Krishna? What can we do for our spiritual master?" He said, in fact, if we aren't in anxiety, we are zombie. We are zombie. We are the walking dead. So if we have life, we're going to be in some sort of anxiety. So let us be in anxiety for Krishna. Haribol.
Being in anxiety, I'm sure, is something that we're all very familiar with. But we should all know that to be anxious for spreading Krishna consciousness, that anxiety, as Atita Guna was relating, Srila Prabhupada said, that is a spiritual anxiety. That anxiety actually feeds our spiritual life, and it nourishes our spiritual development. And what should we be anxious for? We should be anxious that the world is in need, in great need, for Krishna consciousness. We should be anxious that the world needs to see. The world needs to see a practical example of how spiritual life can solve the problems of society today. The world needs to see that you and I, we are all we are acting in such a way that through our spiritual vision, we are addressing the problems that face everyone in society, the economic problems, the emotional problems, the environmental problems. When I came to Mayapur, was 1976. So I had previously been working, serving in New York City. But when I came to Mayapur, there was a need for devotees to help, and I became engaged in service for the festival. And when my GBC arrived, I was there actually a bit early. I was scheduled to go back when he came. The leaders of Mayapur at the time, Jayapataka Maharaj and Bhavananda Maharaj, requested that I stay, which I was very interested in. But my GBC had just assumed his service in New York. He was also going to be the president of the temple. So he was uncertain whether to give permission. And he thought I should ask Srila Prabhupada. So we both went to Srila Prabhupada's room together. And Srila Prabhupada was in that similar state that he many times entered. That state of anxiety, not for something in our movement, which also happened many times, but anxious for the world. I don't remember what was the circumstance, what exactly he was thinking about. It was something that he read or heard from the news, something that was going on in India, something that demonstrated the difficulty that the world is facing in becoming even a human place. And he was, you could see in his words and in his demeanor, his anxiety for human society. But he said that, well, we can't expect the whole world to become Krishna conscious. But at least there should be one ideal place. And he was referring to our Sri Mayapur project. He was referring to that project which he had initiated some years back and which continues today, where we are attempting to show on every level that we can live in harmony with nature, in harmony with the environment, in peace amongst nations. Here we have demonstrated how many 100 and some nations of the world have come together on this platform of Krishna consciousness. And Mayapur is demonstrating how the people of the world can live in harmony on the basis of spiritual life. Of course, we also still have to learn a little bit better how we can live in harmony with the natural environment and how we can have a good economic system. These are our challenges, but it is a work in progress. In any case, so Srila Prabhupada made these statements. We were sitting there, and Madhavisa, he was the GBC, he began addressing Prabhupada. He said, "We know that your Mayapur project is your most important project." And Srila Prabhupada stopped and he said, "No! New York is my most important project." Why? Why did he say New York? Here today we are celebrating what? We're celebrating Srila Prabhupada's departure from India for where? New York City. Why New York City? Because it's the capital of the world. Being somewhat a New Yorker, I can say that with a little bit of pride. Anyway, it's the capital. The UN is sitting there. The financial industry is centered there. It is the confluence of cultures. There used to be, I don't think it's there anymore, there used to be when you start to leave, just where you're approaching one of the tunnels that takes you outside of Manhattan, there used to be a big sign and said, "You're about to leave New York and enter America." Because New York is like another country. And Srila Prabhupada felt that if we could make this beachhead in New York City, if we could establish Krishna consciousness in New York City, the whole world could change. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada recognized that New York was so important and continues to be important for our movement. But the conversation went on, and Srila Prabhupada was kind enough to let me stay in Mayapur. I want to give one more short lesson from my time in New York. When I was in New York City, at one point I was trying to serve the ISKCON food relief program by raising funds. So I was thinking, let me raise money from the corporate houses. So I got myself a suit and I got a nice get up. But I thought, well, if I go to them and I give them a letter, or I ask for an appointment with a letter that says Krishna consciousness and things like that, they might not entertain me. So I had this idea, let me just make a very simple letter, just says ISKCON. And I rented an address in Manhattan, I put the address in. So I made this letterhead. All it said was ISKCON at the top and then the address at the bottom and a phone number. Anyway, one day Prabhupada comes to New York and I'm upstairs and Brahmananda comes and says, Prabhupada wants to see you. And I came down and I saw this letterhead on his desk. And he said, you have made this? And I said, yes. He says, where is International Society for Krishna Consciousness? Where is Founder Acharya? And I knew I was in trouble. And he taught me then, and I wanted to relate it to you now, that here we are celebrating two things. We're celebrating Srila Prabhupada's departure for the US. We're celebrating his imminent arrival in America. But we're also launching our celebration of the 50th anniversary of his establishment of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. This is coming now. This is the beginning. It is coming. Next year is the year 2016. We will be 50 years old. And we should begin now to deepen our understanding of what this ISKCON means. What is it? Why is it? Who is it? It is not the same as the Gaudiya Mats that were established by the godbrothers of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada began his ISKCON first in the form of League of Devotees. Not as a temple or a mutt for his development, but as a society. A way to bring us all together in service. This was his formula. He understood Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mission. Not to build temples and sit in them, but to create a worldwide society of devotees serving together and glorifying Krishna through Harinam Sankirtan. He understood the mission of his spiritual master perfectly, and that way he gave us ISKCON. We must fully imbibe and understand the meaning, the purpose, the nature of our society, and know that we are ISKCON together. We are the Society for Krishna Consciousness, and we are linked together very perfectly by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, bringing us all together to serve the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in spreading Harinam Sankirtan. So let us all remember, understand what ISKCON means. We should all study the purposes of ISKCON, beginning with to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, and to educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life in order to correct the imbalance of values in life and achieve real unity and peace in the world. That is the beginning of our mission. We are together to do this. Let us be anxious, let us be revolutionary, let us be innovative, let us adopt all of these qualities that Srila Prabhupada demonstrated to serve him in spreading Krishna consciousness.